All that apply to subduction zones don't get rift valleys like at the mid-ocean ridge mixed up with trenches and subduction zones. Subduction zone is where one plate dives underneath another one. So let's see, divergent margins, well, that's not here at the subduction zone. That's out here. Divergence is where it's splitting apart. So that would be over here at the mid-ocean ridge and the rifts. So that's not something we want to have. Arc volcanoes, well, that is something that applies to subduction zones. When the plate dives down, it partially melts. It gets hotter as the plate dives down, and it's got some water mixed in that crust, and water will actually lower the melting temperature of the rock. So as it heats up, it will melt, and then when it rises up, you will form either continental or mountain chain volcanoes if there's continental crust over that melting point. Or over here, if I've got oceanic rock hitting oceanic rock, when it dives down, well, when it rises up, it'll form volcanoes, but it's out in the ocean now. There's water over top of it. So they call those island arc volcanoes. Japan and the Philippines and the Aleutian Islands are arc volcanoes. So that does apply to subduction zone. Passive margins, well, anything but. These are highly active margins. A passive margin is basically an area that there's no earthquakes, there's no tectonic activity, it's not being uplifted, it's just kind of there. Where active margins, that's what we're seeing here, where things are smashing together and land is being pushed up and crumpled and lots of seismic activity. So if they had active margin, we'd check that, but we are not going to check passive margin. Trenches, sure. That's where the plate is actually diving down. So here's your trench out here, like the Marianas Trench out in the Pacific Ocean near the Philippines and Japan. Crustal stacking, we're not going to select that. Subduction zones are where one plate is diving underneath the one. That would have been tricky because, granted, this is a convergent boundary, just like where we find subduction zones. But crustal stacking is where a continental plate hits another continental plate. There is no subduction there. They stack on top of each other because neither one, like styrofoam trying to push it down in water, neither one of those plates will go back down into the mantle. And so there is no subduction zone, and that's what we're looking for, things that apply to so we would not put crustal stacking. And convergent margins, well, yeah, they are coming together, so that is something that we would put a check on for convergent boundaries. They do apply to subduction zones.